Hey, what's up, everybody? This episode of the Going Yard podcast is powered by Baseball Lifestyle 101. That's right. Baseball Lifestyle 101 is now the official sponsor of GYP baseball episodes.
I mean, this is one of the most influential social media baseball brands on the internet. You know, you can find them on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. They sell the hottest t-shirts, hats, shoes, you know, anything you want, jewelry, you name it, birthdays, holidays, whatever you want, you can find something on there for that baseball player in your life.
Hey, Tyler, you like saving money?
I love saving money, especially on this Buzz the Tower hat that we're both wearing. This thing is perfect.
I look fresh. Well, you know, if you go to bl101.com and you enter the promo code GYP10 at checkout, you get 10% off of your entire purchase. That's right. You just go to bl101.com, enter GYP10 at checkout, and you get 10% off your entire purchase.
That's pretty simple. Simple savings.
Very
Does it get
simple.
any easier than that?
No, let's talk about this episode we got.
You know, this is fantastic. Not only do we get to announce the official sponsorship with bl101.com, but we get to speak to who, Dan?
Mr. Josh Shapiro himself, the founder of Baseball Lifestyle 101.
It doesn't get any better than that. You guys are going to love, you know, his story, his base, because, you know, we dig into the baseball stories. You're going to love listening to his challenges kind of in a way and how he used them as motivation in his life, not only on the field, but off the field to create this business.
And when we talk about creating this business, we're talking about when you hear about the time that he actually created this, how old he was, you're going to kind of look at where you're at today and say, man, what was I doing at this time? Or maybe you're even at that spot now. He just gives you a lot of motivation to take action. And that's the biggest thing I got from this. You know, who cares what, you know, if you're too short, if you're too slow, if you're too whatever, take what you're good at and go, and take what you love and do something with it.
He took that New York mindset and to the fullest in everything that he's done, obviously.
Absolutely.
I mean, everything they're doing is impressive across the board. You people are going to love listening to this episode, so make sure you share it to all your family and friends.
That's right, guys. Enjoy this, and we will talk to you at the end of the show. Hey, Josh, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Of course, man. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really pumped to get rolling. Talk to you guys.
Yeah, man, we're excited for it, and we got some big news. And Tyler and I will start off the show by talking about this. If you did not hear the intro, if you just kind of were spacing through it before this episode started, we got some great, exciting news between Going Yard Podcast and Baseball Lifestyle 101. Baseball Lifestyle 101 is now officially the sponsor of our baseball podcast, and we are so excited to be on board and be a part of your team, guys. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. First, I'm very excited. Thank you guys for wanting to work with us, and I think you guys have a great audience. I know we have a great audience, so I think combined together, there's endless opportunities, endless possibilities, and I know on both ends we like to provide a bunch of value to anybody that we can. So I'm very excited to get this rolling.
Yeah, we're fired up for it, Josh. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you and the rest of the gang at Baseball Lifestyle. You guys have a tremendous following. I know a lot of our listeners love what you're doing and the products that you guys provide to the baseball community.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, I mean, we have talked about it a couple times with a couple different people. It's nice because our podcast, we really dig into the lifestyle of a baseball player. And that's what you guys are all about. And, it's about the grind. It's about all that stuff. And it's not just a game, it's a lifestyle. I mean, that's exactly what our podcast talks about. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's who we encompass as a company, as a family here. It's just, for us, and it's literally as simple as it is. It just all kind of works together. Like, it's literally more than a game. It's a lifestyle. Like, we just live it every day. I try to live it every day as best I can, and I know you guys do the same. So it just kind of works on all front,
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, I mean, Dan talks about it. Let's just jump right in here a little bit and talk a little bit about your baseball story, that transition from high school and going to college, and ultimately, why you chose to kind of walk away from the game of baseball when you were still playing competitively at a higher level than most get to do.
Yeah, it's definitely it's all a real interesting story. I guess to kind of start off from the high school end of things, because that's really when Baseball Lifestyle was started. So just the kind of background of things. So I started Baseball Lifestyle 101 as simply an Instagram account my sophomore year of high school. Just for fun, man. Like, I was the kid that was obsessed with baseball, still am, obviously, but I was that kid that was, anything he could wear baseball, anything he could talk baseball, it was surrounded all around the game. So the Instagram was really just another platform, another voice for myself to get out there. And so I just kept posting. I kind of did it like very low key. No one really knew about it. It was just kind of going about my business. Yeah. And then throughout high school, it kept growing because I was consistently posting. I was really one of the forefront to Instagram. I started it back in 2013. So Instagram wasn't really a big platform back then. So I was able to take advantage of that. But it was a really interesting story, man. I mean, I remember that 5,000, 10,000 followers. I used to get like ripped on by my teammates in high school. Like, they thought it was funny that I would be doing this like baseball postings, and it was just funny that they thought it was funny and that I was doing it. And now it's kind of all coming full circle. So high school kind of left it going. I reached about 90,000 followers by the end of high school. And then I remember my freshman year of college going into an orientation, we just hit 100,000 followers for my freshman year of college. So from 2013 to 2015 was the growth there. And I was playing college baseball, Division III school in Long Island, New York, Farmingdale State. And I loved, my dream was to play pro baseball. And I got to college baseball, man, and it's a different story. Most people won't really tell you that. The Bills people will be like, hey, like, it's all about getting to the, keep going, keep pushing. But for me, like, it wasn't, honestly, to be frank, it wasn't fun anymore. It became like a big job. It became like something where I was almost going through the motions. And I didn't really want to be a part of it going forward. So I had the opportunity to Baseball Lifestyle. I played my freshman year. I had 95 at bats as a freshman, batted in the 3 and 4 hole. I think I was tied for the team in doubles and RBIs. Like, I had a really good season. I played a lot of the freshmen, but the account had reached about 250,000 followers at this point. And then we just had launched our BL101.com, so our apparel and our clothing brand side of things. And it started to kind of take off a little bit, and I had to make a decision. The hardest decision of my life was, do I dive into this baseball lifestyle thing, or do I continue to chase my dream as a college ball player? And I made the ultimate decision to hang up the cleats and pursue the suit and tie.
Now, before we dive into more of the business, because we got a lot of questions on that, obviously the college part of it, college ball, wasn't what you had hoped in terms of your experience there. But we would like to know, I always love asking this, who was one of your favorite players growing up? What position did you play? And what was one of your favorite players growing up that you like to watch to try to emulate in that position, or even if it wasn't in that exact position, but what was one of those players that you would just try to model?
Yeah, so there's a few. I mean, I think when I was really young, I'm in New York, right? So it was a Jeter. I was a big Jeter guy. And it's interesting because I didn't really emulate Jeter's game. I'm a lefty, smaller guy, so I didn't really emulate Jeter's game, but I emulated how his passion and his love and how he went about his business. And I was actually number 2 for like the first couple of years of my career. But another person that made a big impact as a sidetrack is, in terms of just like kind of how I was actually my father. He didn't play at even high school or anything like that. But an interesting story is, so I made my first travel ball baseball team when I was like 8 years old, and the coach asked me, so what number do you want to pick? And, whatever. And my dad's sitting on the phone with me, and he's like, listen, it's obviously like, I know he's going to go Jeter, like number 2, right? My dad was number 9. So I go on the phone and I go, I'd like to wear number 9, and I'd like to have Shap on the back of my jersey, which is now my nickname, which was my father's nickname. So I actually took my father's nickname, put Shap on the back of my jersey, and that was on the back of my jersey for every single jersey, not Shapiro, but Shap. And number 9 was my number. So I remember making my dad cry at that moment, but I actually just wanted to represent him and represent the family. So I went for number 9. And then going up, playing through my travel ball and then high school, as I got older, like really older into high school and college, I started emulating guys like Jose Altuve and, David Eckstein, like a lot of the smaller, shorter guys, because I'm 5'5", and like, in high school I was, even smaller. So I was emulating all the guys that I could relate to. Marcus Stroman, he had the HGMH brand, local Long Island guy. So all the smaller guys as I got older were the guys that I looked up to and continued to emulate their game.
Now, Josh, let's just stay right there for 1 second because I want to know, for people who don't live in New York, what's the baseball scene like there? You know, it's cold, it's miserable, it can be nasty this time of year. You know, guys are getting ready for, you know, the seasons to come up and get started. You know, you played college there. You got to go south to play if you want to start in February. You know, what's the baseball scene like there as a whole, as opposed to, you know, some of the other places you've been in the country traveling around now with baseball lifestyle?
Yeah, so I mean, it's different. There's a different culture here. There's a different swagger here. A lot of, like, especially in the city, there's a lot of like doubt me and I'll show you kind of attitude, and I love that attitude. I kind of take that about myself as well. But like, it's just a different attitude out here because everyone doubts New York talent. I think there's a ton of talent no matter where you are, no matter if you play inside or outside. But I think there's a lot more, honestly, in New York, I think there's a lot more grit because guess what? We have that kind of stigma with us that, you know, all the talent's down south. And guess what? If you can't find a field, you got to make it happen, right? So I remember, like, I had a portable heater in my garage and a batting cage. I mean, like a net, and I would just hit with my dad, like buckets all day. And I had a wiffle ball set up in my basement, and I would just hit wiffle balls. And like, it's a different grind, but I think it teaches you how to work with what you have and how to make the most out of the opportunity, no matter when it gets shown to you.
What would you say the biggest lesson you learned playing baseball, period?
For me, it's a little different than I feel like with most people. For me, being undersized, I feel like I had to outwork every single person to get to the position that I was able to get to. So for me, it was that I have to work harder and smarter than every single other person. That's the only way that I'll succeed.
Now, you know, obviously you transition from sports to business. You know, it's not always easy for athletes to walk away. You know, so many people think that they are the game, you know, without the game that they have nothing. You've obviously broken that mold, and obviously you weren't, you know, Division I, you weren't drafted, you know, so you probably had to realize a little bit that maybe your dream of MLB would be a little tougher than everyone. But, you know, in saying that, you transitioned into business kind of over a 5-6 year period. What were some of the things you learned as you went? Because, you know, there's tons of teenagers are out there scared to death to start an Instagram account. What would you say to them, you know, if they have an idea? You know, it might be a pipe dream to somebody, but it's an idea. What would you say to those guys or girls that are out there, you know, thinking about doing something like you did and taking a risk and a chance?
Yeah, it's simple. It's 2 words. It's just start. If you never get started, you're never going to get anywhere. So if you never pick up the bat, you're never going to play baseball. If you never take that chance, you know, you're never going to meet anybody that, you know, your future wife, husband, like you got to take that chance. And same thing with business. Like, you have to just get started. And you have to just be consistent. Same thing with the baseball field, right? You go out there, you take 100 swings a day. Guess what? Like, if you're going to be on Instagram, you better be posting 5 to 12 times a day consistently. And you have to be responding, and you have to be on your phone, and you have to be networking. And if you're doing those things like you're doing on the same thing as you do on the baseball field, then you're going to be successful. It's just all about consistency and starting. And I tell people all the time, like, everyone always asks me, like, they think that the account grew overnight or the business grew overnight. And like, you know, wow, you're blowing up. And it's like, listen, I've been taking small steps for 5-6 years now that look like they're humongous jumps, but they're really small steps. And I always say, like, one small step is a step closer. And then when you look over a 365-day window, those small steps equals one giant leap. And the one giant leap leads you into 3 giant leaps in 3 years. And you turn back and you're like, wow, I was not in the same position where I was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, back when you started this Baseball Lifestyle 101 Instagram page, Instagram was not what it is today, not even close. And I'm curious, what gave you the idea? I know you started it back then, but what gave you the idea that, hey, I'm going to do this? I know you said it was just for fun, but did you have any kind of inkling at all that this could be something?
I had zero inkling that it could be something, but I always try to make nothing into something. Like I was the kid that would, you know, sit up on the end of the block and sell lemonade. I mowed 4 of my neighbors' lawns to make $100 a week. Like, I'm a hustler. Like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make money and to be successful. But honestly, at first, like, the name Baseball Lifestyle, I was just like, I don't know. I was like, it just encompassed. I was literally 15 years old. So the fact that I made a name like that was somewhat like that's smart, was just part luck. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And the reason why the 101 was in there was because I felt like it was a starting point for everybody. it's an introductory class. So no matter if you're really young or really old, you need to start somewhere in baseball, and we're the place to start. Is kind of how I kind of put things together in my head. But yeah, I mean, it started to become something. I'd say when I hit about 10,000 followers, and I was reaching out to large companies at 15 years old, or larger companies at 15 years old, and getting free bats, free gloves, whatever I really wanted to. I just had to hit them up. And then once I was kind of done with the free stuff and I was starting to able to get like, money for posting, then I was like, okay, like this is turning into something. And then the fact that I never had to work like a real job, and I was always on Instagram making enough money at, 15, 16 and support myself, and then, do some stuff with baseball on the side. I was like, you know what, like I'm going to keep going with this. And another reason that I was able to kind of like believe in what I had in the business was when I was 15 years old, I was also training obviously to be an athlete. So I was working out at Shapiro Athletics, my local gym, and my mentor and now one of my business partners, Bill Ram, was been there since day one. So I remember one day I came into the gym and I was like, hey, Bill, like, do you mind if I put up flyers of like my Instagram account in the gym? I had like 5,000 followers at the time. He's like, yeah, of course. And then we kind of started talking about it. And I was like, hey, like I have this Instagram and I want to sell like clothes. Like I was like, I have 5,000 followers. And he started breaking down the numbers and was like, well, if you look at these conversion rates and this, and that, like you're going to sell like 5 shirts in a year. And I'm like, what? Like I kind of got hit in the face with the real like reality of what business is. And he would kind of basically as a coach, and he would give me, hey, if you do X, Y, Z and, you get this done, like I'll get you to the next step. And like, I'd come back like 2 weeks earlier than he thought I'd have this done. I'd be like, done, and done. What's next? And I would just keep doing the things that he would tell me, and they were working. Just like as you go to a hitting coach and he tells you to do this with your swing and it works, you're going to go back and you're going to listen to that person. So I kept doing it. And, we had jokes about like, oh, one day, like, this is going to be like a 7-figure business. And I was like, yeah, like that'd be cool. Like, that'd be awesome. Whatever. And then, a couple of years later, that's where we're at and more. And it's kind of incredible. But yeah, I just kept listening to him. I kept, executing on the plan and on the vision and just kept rolling.
So, we talk a lot about, to baseball players and all that, but what was that feeling like, making that first sale, making that first transaction? What was, did you have a sense of accomplishment and like, oh man, I want more, what was that transition like going from, the difficulty of becoming a person that would sell products, like jewelry and shoes and hats and shirts and not just posting all the time? What was that, what was the hardest part of that transition for you? And what was the ultimate feeling of knowing, wow, I can really do something with this?
The hardest part is dealing with being an actual business. Inventory, now employees, back then wasn't really employees, but like now employees, and just managing customer service, shipping stuff out. Like there's so much that goes into things that people just think that, you press a buy button and it goes somewhere and it gets to you. But like there's so much that goes behind the scenes. So like doing a simple Instagram post and reaching out and getting on a phone call is one thing, but putting something on the website, making it look good, promoting it in the right way, getting it out the right way, on time. You know what I'm saying? There's so much more that goes into it that like it's just a lot more difficult. But I would say like the first sales were great, but like I don't know, it was always I wanted more. It's like going 4 for 4 and you're like, why didn't I hit 4 home runs? And like why didn't I do this? So you're like, you have days where you're like low on sales and you're like, dang, like I went 0 for 4 today. How can I be better? So it was almost like playing baseball again. Like every day was a new opportunity and it had a lot of things to bring. Some days were good, some days were bad, but you learn from the bad days to make your bad days better than what they were before.
Now let's stay with that. Let's keep that connection with baseball, because I love your story, because you became very driven and very successful at a young age. And how much of that drive do you think came from playing sports and playing baseball in general? How much do you think that came from there, or was that just something you were born with?
Honestly, I don't attribute it that much to sports. I attribute a lot of it to my size. Like that's a serious thing. I think if I was 6 foot tall, I don't think baseball lifestyle would be a thing. And that's a serious answer. I know that sounds crazy, but like I always had to outwork every single person to be where I was at. And that mentality was what drove me in the business. It was like, okay, my high school teammates are making fun of my Instagram account. Well, guess what? I'm going to show them and I'm going to make something of it. Or whatever the case may be, like, you want to doubt me, I'm going to make sure I show you what I could do, and I'll work as hard as I can to get there. I mean, I'm sure, like, I was very competitive on the ball field, but it was honestly, I really attribute a lot of it from my side. Like, even on the ball field, I was like, I'm gonna hit a ball as far as I can. So when you guys think I'm gonna play a bunt down, I'm gonna drop a 300-foot bomb over your head, and then I'm gonna lay a bunt down the next at bat, and then I'm gonna stay in at second base. And when you want to slide tackle me, I'm gonna like stay in there and try to kick you in the head. Like, that's just how I was, like, I was nitty gritty. I was like, I almost played just angry, like, and that's just, I love doing that because I don't know, it's just a little part of who I am.
Now, I want to kind of transition here a little bit, Josh, with you. I want to jump in a little bit to kind of your partnerships now that you've grown Baseball Lifestyle to where it is. And we talked a little bit about our partnership now and your sponsorship with us. But how about the baseball youth and, the impact that that's having and, getting to go around the country to some of these different events and seeing, the game at a younger level, the enthusiasm and things like that. What's that meant for, you personally as a baseball fan and Baseball Lifestyle as a business?
Yeah, this is perfect because honestly, the main reason why I wanted to get to the show, well, MLB, that is, and it was to make an impact. I wanted to kind of not be the guy, but I had, like, you have those dreams where, like, you run on the field and, like, kids are yelling your name and you're like, you go over there, you sign balls, you're taking pictures, you hit a double and a kid's like, everyone's clapping for you, and it's like you kind of made it. Well, full circle again, like, I've been able to do that with Baseball Lifestyle. I put my face out there, people know who I am, and it's a quote unquote a celebrity thing, like, I go to the baseball youth tournaments, all these kids, like, want to take pictures, they know who I am, they follow the brand, and it's like a surreal feeling where it's like, okay, I'm making the same impact, probably even more impact that I would have as an MLB player, now making that with my company. And, like, it's pretty crazy where because I answer every single kid on DM. I answer as many comments as I can, and it's all me. So, like, I have personal relationships with, like, I could tell you, if I met a kid, I could tell you his name, his story. If you gave me names, I could tell you where they live, what they're about, what's the items that they've purchased from us. Like, I care so much because that's what separates you, like, being personable and being out there.
Now let's talk a little bit about, you were just out in California, you're doing spring training, but you were at the charity, softball event, a big deal with Christian Yelich and all that went in with the California wildfires. What was that experience like, being around not only, some of the best athletes, but some, entertainers in general, and taking that in as probably a fan, of the game?
Yeah, that's another interesting thing too, is like, that stuff doesn't even, like, trigger me anymore in terms of, like, I'm around all these guys, but, like, they're just guys. Like, they're just, like, friends at this point. Like, Chase Darno is, like, a friend. Like, I just stayed with him in Arizona, and, like, I know, I'm friends with his whole family. Like, I know his story. Like, I know what's going on in his life, and, like, they're just friends of mine now, just as if they were teammates. Obviously there's some guys like the Yeliches and stuff where I'm not, I'm not close with them, but, like, I'm not afraid to make a conversation because at the end of the day, everybody's just another human being. You just want to connect with them and provide value where you can. But, it's just been really cool to become friends with these guys. And, like, that celebrity softball game was amazing. It was for a great cause, and I was glad I was able to give it more publicity and hopefully drive some donations. But, like, it was cool. Like, hanging out with Baker Mayfield, Adam Sandler, you name them, they were there. But, like, at the end of the day, like, everyone's just kind of people trying to make an impact, and, you're just a part of that impact.
Now, we know that Baseball Lifestyle has made some appearances at, many different sporting events. We just talked about a couple there. But can you talk a little bit about, we know, spring training with Trevor Bauer. Can you talk about some of the most memorable places you've gone with Baseball Lifestyle, and maybe talk about some of the places you're going to be going to this upcoming season, 2019?
Yeah, so it's funny because we were talking about because I just came back yesterday, so we were talking kind of about the recap with a little bit with everybody. And, like, it's funny because I always think that, like, the last trip was, like, the pinnacle of, like, things. Like, us just hanging out with Trevor Bauer, talking and just going mountain climbing and, like, all that stuff is, like, pretty surreal and it's really cool. But I think something that me and my team always talk about is when we went to the College World Series this past June before. It was just an unreal experience because that was the first time we put Baseball Lifestyle, like, on a big scene in terms of, like, people in terms of like a pop-up shop. And we got an unreal experience from kids coming up to me and trying to take pictures, and it was just a really like amazing team bonding experience. And we all have so many memories of that time. Really anything. I mean, baseball youth in Florida, just everything. Like every time we go on a trip as a team, we're able to create memories. We're a family. So I always feel like that last trip was the best until the next trip comes up and we all are like just having this amazing time. And for me, I want to be able to support everybody on my, all of my team members, because what's the point of doing it all by yourself? It's the memories that you're able to create through the journey and the experiences that you make that you're going to hold with you for the rest of your life,
Yeah. Now, real quick, everybody wants to kind of know, what'd you do with that like 12-foot, 10-foot long bat that you had out there at the College World Series?
Oh, that's sitting in the warehouse right now. It was in my apartment, and then we moved it to the warehouse. So it's just sitting in the warehouse right now. That thing's legit. That thing's like 35 pounds. That thing's no joke. But yeah, like that thing was really cool. We drew a lot of attention with that. Like that's what we're about. We're all about we all want to make attention. We want to make content. So that was a pretty cool thing that we had going on at the College World Series.
Where can people catch you this 2019? Where are you going to be going to? Some of the events that you see coming up?
Yeah, so we're going to be at a bunch more of the Baseball Youth All-American and different tournaments that they have going on. We're going to be doing some local stuff here on Long Island. You guys, on this podcast, we will be back at the 2019 College World Series for sure. And, yeah, I mean, besides that, definitely be at games, definitely be at the All-Star game this year. We're going to be all around, man. I mean, I'm constantly traveling. I'm constantly moving. But yeah, we're gonna continue to move forward and kind of just go to different places. But those are like the main ones right now.
Now, outside of Baseball Lifestyle 101, what other ventures have you have you started? And also, do you have anything in the pipeline that you could even mention right now?
Yeah. So another thing we got going on is we have like I would say our sister company. We have Softball Lifestyle that we have. And that's going well. It has a really big reach over there. And softball is a completely different animal, a completely different aspect of things. So I mean, it's for people that just don't, running one business is really tough. It takes up a lot of your time. So trying to do a lot more things can get kind of tricky. So I try to tend to stay on like Baseball Lifestyle as much as I can, and then me and Melissa, who runs the marketing for Baseball Lifestyle 101, is my partner for softball. We try to do as much as we can for softball, but it's kind of hard when you only have so much help, and it's you guys, and you guys are the drivers of a lot of things. So there's a lot of things that I'd love to do. There's a lot of things in the works, but I want to make sure that I'm taking care of the things that are kind of taking care of me right now, and then I can kind of worry about the other stuff. I mean, I'm 21 years old, so I have plenty of time to get into a lot of things.
So, and let's stay with that a little bit there. You're 21. What would you say some of your goals are that you'd like to obtain in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, whether it's personally or professionally?
Personally, I'd like to put myself in a position within the next 3 to 5 years where I always want to be ahead. As long as I'm ahead of the curve, which I believe I am. I know I am ahead of the curve in terms of kids that are my age, because I've been doing. I'm going to say it because I've been doing it for 5 years now, right? So I started earlier, but I want to make sure that I'm putting myself in a good position to, by the time I'm 25, 26, to not settle down per se, but be able in a position to kind of like take some days off, go on some vacations. Because right now it's full grind mode. Like I'm never taking a day off. It's hard to manage a personal life a little bit with Baseball Lifestyle because I have my close friends, but my close friends are also my business, people that are in my business with me. And outside of that, it's hard to kind of create relationships, kind of hard to maintain relationships because you're just so busy doing a thing that you love, but you want to set yourself up for. And professionally, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I want to just continue to make a difference. I want to make Baseball Lifestyle the cream of the crop in the apparel, clothing, baseball accessories business, and just kind of keep pushing forward. I mean, I want to continue to start. I don't think Baseball Lifestyle is the end. I think Baseball Lifestyle is the beginning. But there's a lot of things that I want to get into. It's just a matter of time and doing it at the right time.
Now, Josh, I loved your story. You know, talking about basically, you know, being one of the smaller guys. You kind of had the underdog story, and you found the success at such an early age. I'm curious, just two things. One, if you have anything else that you want to talk about, but if you could also for the players that are listening right now that are young and you know they're looking to go to the next level and they're looking to whether it's in sports, whether it's in baseball, whether it's in business, maybe it's something where they got this business mind like you do and they just want to go out there and get it. Give us something to kind of kick their butt into action.
Yeah, I mean, I would just if you have a passion in something, no matter what it is, there's ways to make a living off of it. And I think my personal view is that you never want to kind of feel like you have to keep up with what society's standards are and what people outside of you think that you should be doing. You need to be doing whatever makes you happy, and that's the key. If that's playing baseball, if that's playing in the minor leagues and being on a bus for 6 hours with your teammates, or if that's selling, you know, cheeseburgers on the side of the road, like whatever that is that makes you happy, then go do that thing, you know, and you'll find a way to make money with your passion. Because if you love something, you're able to make, I know it's kind of cliche, but like it's the truth. If you love something, you can make money off of it as long as you put the hard work and effort into it.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I hope, you know, kids of all ages and even some adults take that advice and run with it, man, because it's you know, it is what you make of it, and if you put the work in, good things can come eventually, right?
Yeah, and I definitely wasn't doing what you're doing at 21 years old. I was doing something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, everyone always kind of, you find your path, you find what you actually love. It could be when you're 21, it could be when you're 40, it could be when you're 60. As long as in your mind you feel young, you're healthy, everyone around you's healthy, like, and you can do the thing you want to do, I would just recommend doing that. Because I don't know, man. At the end of the day, why would you want to look back and feel like you left with regret? Like, there's no reason to do that. There's only reason to be happy with what you're doing, and roll with those things, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. As we wind down here, Josh, was there any topics that you wanted to bring up that we didn't really dive into, you know, just yet, or you know, that weren't something here in the podcast questions that we didn't really bring up?
No, you guys are the experts, man. You guys brought up a lot of good points, a lot of good topics. So I think it was really good. I was able to tell my story. People get to understand what we're all about here, and you know, I'm just as like a point. I'm just, you know, very thankful for all 532,000 and 33,000 Facebook and 36,000 Twitter followers and everybody that's purchased. I'm very thankful for everybody, because without them, you know, they've propelled me to do what I love, you know, so how could I, you know, I just want to be thankful for everything for that as well.
Awesome. Now, I'm sure it's everyone who's listening knows where to find you, but just real quickly, if you could just let everybody know, where can they find you on all of your platforms?
Yeah, so you can follow, obviously, our Instagram is the big boy. You can follow us at baseball_lifestyle 101. Our Facebook page, Baseball Lifestyle 101. Our Twitter is BSB Lifestyle 101, and then we also have our YouTube as well, which is Baseball Lifestyle 101. So we provide a little bit of different content on each platform, yeah, I mean, definitely shoot us a look if you guys haven't checked us out. Reach out to us, shoot me a DM, let me know what you guys think about the story, and I'd love to, you know, communicate with you guys any way I can.
Real quick before we let you get out of here, you got any great deals going on right now? Any promos, any new stuff coming out in the pipeline in the next, you know, couple days or weeks?
Yeah, so we just came out last week with our 4 new phone cases and a pair of socks. That was pretty cool. We've got a lot of stuff coming up in March. We've got some new shirts dropping. We've got a whole new concept dropping. What else we got? We got a couple of restocks. There'll always be stuff going. If anybody's interested, I would just keep track on our social media, sign up for our email list. I mean, we're always moving, you know, we're always doing some stuff. So, we're always, you know, always cooking.
Right on. Now I got one more question for you. And for those who are listening, Josh and I and Tyler, we actually got to meet up at Williamsport this past year for the Little League World Series. And I've already asked him this question, but we're going to ask it over the interview right now. So
that's what we do.
Because that's what we do. And this is our thing, asking this question. So Josh, if you had one at bat in a Major League Baseball game, what song would you choose as your walk-up song?
So I think I would go with it's called "These Days" by Mike Stud. He was an ex-baseball player from Duke, and the reason why I like that song is because it's all about living in the present and enjoying where you're at. So I feel like if that was my one at bat, I'd have to enjoy these days, and kind of go from there.
I love it, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I know we've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and this is big and it's exciting stuff for us for sure. And we're excited to grow with you guys this year, and it's going to be fantastic. So thanks for the opportunity for the sponsorship.
Of course, man. I'm looking forward to it, and I'd love to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, man. We know you're a big time Yankee fan, dude. We got to get you come down here to Baltimore. It's a lot cheaper to go to Camden Yards than it is up there at Yankee Stadium when they're in town. So, we have to get you to come on down, and we'll go catch a game out down here at the Yard.
Sounds like a plan.
Can't wait. Thanks, Josh, for everything. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, no problem.
If that's your girl, why she in my section? That's your girl, why she doing role play?
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Josh, and make sure you follow us on all things social media at Going Yard Podcast and on Twitter at GY Podcast.
GY Podcast. That's
it's so hard to say.
So
I feel like I just want to keep saying more after that, like GYP 10.
Yeah, GYP 10. Good idea.
Savings.
Use it everywhere. Any place, just type in GYP 10, see what it does for you.
I tried to order new school jeans and I used GYP 10. It didn't work.
Maybe next time. Give us some time.
School jeans.
Maybe you can get some baseball pants somewhere along the line at some point with it.
There we go.
If you can, you love this episode, share it with all your friends, all your family, all the baseball players in your life. Leave us a 5-star review if you can. Subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Google Play. That way, every time we put up a new episode, it automatically downloads, ends up in your queue, and it just plays through along with the other podcasts that you're listening to.
That's right. And we appreciate everything that all of our listeners have done for us, all the questions that you send us. We absolutely love it, and we love the love that you guys are sending. We're almost at our year mark here. March actually marks the year mark of when we started all of this last year, and it has been fantastic, and we couldn't say thank you anymore, and we look forward to what's going to happen this year with the Baseball Lifestyle 101.
March 15th, that's the day it's all started. That was the day we launched this thing. Our first episode came out at the end of the month. Very excited. I'm looking forward to a lot of the interviews we have lined up going forward. Make sure you check out our website. We're going to have a brand new, we have a new website, but we're going to have a brand new one come out here in this month. It's going to be fantastic with all kinds of options, with all of our content on it. You'll be able to follow and share and buy anything you want off of there.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So that's a wrap for this episode. So from all of us here at the Going Yard Podcast and for Josh Shapiro and everybody at Baseball Lifestyle 101, I'm Dan.
And I'm Tyler. See ya.
Later.